everyone, I'm Sylvia and welcome to the very first devlog for my game SkyTied, a weird fishing survival RPG with a horror twist. This is a project I've been working on in my free time for just over a year now, using the Godot engine. The game revolves around catching and selling fish, exploring strange floating islands, and uncovering all kinds of odd creatures, from adorable little critters to massive sea monsters. It's cozy, a little creepy, and completely surreal. I've been watching devlogs from other indie creators for years. They've taught me a lot and always made me inspired. So I figured it was finally time I made one of my own. I'd love to walk you through how SkyTied has grown over the past 12 months. So let's rewind all the way back to the start. I've always wanted to make a game about fishing, but I didn't want it to feel ordinary. I wanted a weird and dreamy fantasy world that just felt unique. Games like Dredge, Rainworld, and Subnautica were huge inspirations for me, not just in gameplay, but in how they build mood and mystery into every little detail. Watching design breakdowns of those games helped me realize just how much thought goes into making something feel alive. Once I had the general tone down, I started thinking about how I wanted the game to look. I've always loved pixel art, so that part came naturally. The harder part was deciding if I would go with a top-down view or a side-scroller. I eventually decided on side-scroller because I felt it showcased the art better, plus I would have to do less animating. After that, I dove straight into character design and made the first versions of my two main characters. The protagonist and a sentient talking boat with a giant eye. I really liked how they turned out, and it made me more interested in the game altogether. I've been drawing my whole life, but pixel art was completely new to me. Thankfully, it clicked pretty quickly, but animation was a different story. It was rough, but I studied tutorials, examined sprite sheets from games that I liked, and slowly I started getting better. After managing to animate my characters, I now needed to figure out what kind of world they existed in. I started thinking about islands, but regular islands in a regular ocean kind of felt bland. I wanted the game to feel more magical, kind of dreamy, so I decided to add floating islands over a cloud ocean. Flying boats, cloud fishing, soft pastel skies, it all just started to click immediately. Then everything else just formed around that visual. Next came the fishing minigame. I knew I'd be tweaking it a lot over time, so I wanted to keep it modular and simple. I also needed it to scale. More difficult fish should be harder to catch, right? After experimenting and studying minigames from Stardew Valley, Dredge, Dave the Diver, and Arcade, I ended up with this button sequence system. It was easy to expand, supported difficulty scaling through button count and timing, and it also gave me a lot of control over how each fish felt to catch. For the first fish designs, I kept it simple, just basic shapes and sizes. I created 4 size categories that reflected the rarity and difficulty for each fish, and that was pretty much it. With fishing finally working, I wanted to give players a reason to use all of the fish they were collecting, so I started working on a town. Drawing buildings was something I've never done before, and it was really tough. But I pushed through, and eventually, after drawing things about a dozen times, I finally ended up with something that I liked. A cute little fishing village hovering over the clouds. Populating the town was definitely very fun. I created these ghost-like merchants, odd but charming, to match the rest of the world's tone. I created 3 of them: a fish butcher who buys your catches, a rod merchant who upgrades your fishing gear, and a boat mechanic who helps improve your vessel. Oh, and I also added a little cat that hangs out in the town. You can feed it, it doesn't really do anything, but it's cute. Then it was time for a day-night cycle, and let me tell you, I completely underestimated how long that would take me. I wanted the clouds to shift through soft gradients, lights to turn on, grass to wave in the winds, all subtle things that ended up taking me a lot of time, but it really transformed the game's atmosphere. At night, everything looks spookier, which gave me an idea. What if the player could buy a house and use it as a safe place? So I added a small, cozy hut you can unlock in town. That became one of my favorite parts in the game so far. After fixing a bunch of bugs, I realized it was finally time to let players explore beyond the starting island. That meant building a world map and designing biomes and creatures that made up the game's wider world. I created a system that let you sail from one zone to another while saving important data like what fish you've caught or what's going on in each area. It's not perfect yet, but it works, and more importantly, it let me start designing new content. I broke the world down in nodes, fishing zones, gathering nodes, and towns and islands. That made it a lot easier to prototype small areas without having to worry about scale. Next, I built a proper inventory system for both the player and the boat. Now you can collect plants, store fish, and manage resources. I also set up a scalable fish database, which let me assign unique values, textures, animations, and even behaviors to each species of fish. It made the whole fishing system feel much more expansive. The game was finally starting to feel close to my original vision, and that meant it was time to face my biggest challenge yet: monsters. I wanted SkyTied to feel strange, but not just cute strange. There had to be danger too, something lurking in the clouds. I started with concept sketches and landed on a massive squid-like creature that hides in the environment around it. It uses a glowing flower, which the player can collect, to lure prey close. If you're not paying attention, it grabs you. Animating something that was so big was hard. It took forever and nearly broke me, but I finished it. If you get caught in its tentacles, it lunges from above and triggers a cinematic death scene with screen-sake and eerie audio. After that, I added a death system where you lose the fish stored in the boat and also respawn at the last visited island. Not very exciting to make, but super important. I also added another player house, which is larger and a bit more expensive because who doesn't want a house upgrade? And finally, I started a very early version of a cooking system complete with a cute sentient pot and pan. And now we're finally caught up to the present. The most recent focus has been on building ecosystems and making the world feel more reactive and alive. I don't want monsters to just target the player. They should have their own roles, prey, and routines. So that meant giving each biome a food chain. The bamboo biome, for example, now has these small critters that the squid monster eats. The critters feed on weird flowers and occasionally jump onto the player's boat to rest. They even make cute noises, which makes it extra sad when they get eaten. I also added this boat horn, and you can blow it to scare them off. After that, I designed another new critter, a new biome, and another monster. After a lot of painful animation, creepy sound design, and a lot of joy watching a monster eat baby squids, I ended up with another small ecosystem and a working area. At that point, I finally took a breath and realized it was really starting to look and feel like a real game. So yeah, that's SkyTied 1 year in. This project has taught me so much about coding, art, and game design. Thank you so much for watching this devlog, and I'd love to hear your ideas and feedback in the comments. I'm always on the lookout for cool suggestions that could make the game better. If you enjoyed this video and you want to follow along, please like and subscribe. I also recently launched a Steam page for the game, so if you like it, please go and wishlist. Bye!